Welcome to Peace Lutheran in Lauderdale. We've got our Transfiguration Sunday worship here, the 14th of February, and it's good to be with you. As we started saying, we are at a crisp 19 below, I believe. At least it was an hour ago. It's going to get colder tonight, so this is just a rehearsal for the real cold that's coming. Is everybody able to hear me well enough today? Does everybody hear? Okay, I learned how to adjust my volume levels for the speaker in the speaker in, or the microphone in. So hopefully that'll work out a little bit better. I'm going to begin here by sharing my screen. Right off the bat, I'm going to do something really, really risky and share my screen with you guys. And we'll begin with what I'm calling the triple Preuss ensemble, and with a piece that they sent to me after recording together in the sanctuary this last week, I believe. So here we go. Thank you, Prices. That was Mary and Jonathan, along with their daughter, Catherine, with her back to us. Turned out really well. Thank you so much, you guys. What a great surprise. So I'd like to do an opening prayer, and I'll do the readings today. If somebody really wants to do the readings that have been emailed to you, just go wild on your screen, just waving up and down and get my attention. And then we'll let you do that. But let's begin with an opening prayer. Here we go. God of the mountaintops, from up here you can see forever. Down onto fluffy white clouds, down further to the patchwork fields below. The air is so crisp and clean, a little thin. Is that part of my giddiness? I love you, Jesus. When I am up here with you, everything's perfect. When I'm up here with a new friend or a longtime love, everything else is so far away it doesn't matter. But you are not just up here. You are God of the plains and God of the valleys, God of the everyday. You are still God when friends betray, careers collapse, when temptation's snares have me struggling and I feel that I am below the bottom. Help me realize you are there and you carry me through, bringing me back to the here and now. Amen. And I'm going to read this psalm, unless somebody wants to go wild and read the psalm. I'm watching. Look at that. Okay. I don't see anybody waving. Nobody's going to fight me for it. Here we go. This is the low production virtual worship service. Psalm 50. The Lord, the God of gods, has spoken. He has called the earth from the rising of the sun to its setting. Out of Zion, perfect in its beauty, God reveals himself in glory. Our God will come and will not keep silence. Before him there is a consuming flame, and round about him a raging storm. He calls the heavens and the earth from above to witness the judgment of his people. Gather before me my loyal followers, those who have made a covenant with me and sealed it with sacrifice. Let the heavens declare the rightness of his cause, for God himself is the judge. And now we have a gospel reading, and as I mentioned in the beginning, this is Transfiguration Sunday. We can choose to do this Transfiguration Sunday or the last Sunday in the cycle for Epiphany, which would have been Epiphany 5, I believe. But we're doing Transfiguration text. It's an odd text of Jesus up on the mountain, just like Moses in the cloud, and left him shining. So here's Jesus with 3 of his disciples up on the mountain, transfigured. So here we go. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John and led them up a high mountain apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothes became dazzling white, such as no one on earth could bleach them. And there appeared to them Elijah with Moses, who were talking with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He did not know what to say, for they were terrified. Then a cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud there came a voice. "This is my son, the beloved. Listen to him." Suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them anymore, but only Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, he ordered them to tell no one about what they had seen until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead. This is the word of the Lord. Thank you. It's been a week. Jesus on the mountaintop. What to do with this text, huh? You know, catching a glimpse of glory is what I wrote on the sheet here. A glimpse of glory, just a little bit. And, you know, how to relate that. So I've been chewing on that all week, just trying to think, you know, well, what's a new spin on this one? You know, it's the middle of Jesus' ministry. He's arising in popularity. He's getting bigger and bigger crowds. He's feeding the thousands. He's healing people like it's never been seen before, and he's getting a reputation everywhere he goes. He is a rock star. So he goes up the mountain, and you can only imagine, you know, he's going to get up that mountain and he's just going to keep on going. It's only up from here. But we all know that it's actually down from there. It's kind of like it's the middle of the seesaw. You think you're going up, and actually you're going right back down to the valley. And that's the way, that's the trajectory. But in the meantime, you know, what to do with that experience on top of the mountain? You know, it's an affirmation of his baptism. You know, he's baptized, you know, this is my beloved son. Now it says, this is my beloved son, listen to him. So Jesus, is it a pep talk for Jesus? So Jesus can know that, you know, he's still walking on the path. You know, what could it be? And I have to say that I really relate to Peter's desire to capture the moment somehow. You know, can we build some kind of a shrine here, some kind of a tent, some kind of a booth, so we can mark the moment and actually come up and visit? Maybe we could sell tickets. You know, we could have one for Elijah, one for Moses, and one for Jesus. And, you know, you could buy a triple ticket, or you could just do individuals. We could make it orderly, or we could build a sanctuary and we could put stained glass windows in. So once a week or a couple times a week, you could come into the sanctuary and you could be in this holy place where holy things happen, and you can come and experience it, get away from the hubbub of the lower valley floor, and come into the church and get away, get to the top of the mountain. And Jesus says, just shush. But I can understand it. This last week, I was invited by the potter over at Bethel College, who teaches ceramics over there, but she doesn't throw on the wheel. And Bethel College has been known for its throwing for four decades or so. And students and faculty have wanted to see more active potters in there. So somehow they got a hold of me. And so I've been firing some things in a really beautiful kiln that they had built a few years ago. And I was invited to come and throw pots for a class. We call them it's the 10 ladies, they call them. It's the advanced ceramics class, and it's all women, and they call themselves the 10 ladies, and they were excited to have a potter come and throw. And so I sat down and asked them what they'd like to see, how much experience do they have? And they've been playing with it a little bit, and they wanted to see everything. They wanted to see, first off, what's the biggest thing you can throw, that's always it. And says, well, I'm not gonna do that. That would take a little bit of time and energy. But I ended up throwing a vase about, 2 feet tall or so. And I have to tell you, the ladies went wild. They went crazy. I mean, they were, it kind of looked a little bit like this. So I was throwing here yesterday too. So, this one here is only about 14 inches tall, but, imagine, almost double that or something. And they were just enamored with it, and asked, how can you teach us how to throw that? And I said, well, sort of. I can sort of teach you that. So I sat down and I said, well, it's going to take some time, and you've got to put in the time. And I talked about, in order to throw a pot that's like that, you gotta make sure, number one, that the clay is wedged and taken care of properly. You've got to make sure that it's the right consistency. Is it too wet or too hard? You got to get it right. And all this preparation goes into it, and they didn't want to see the preparation at all. They just want to throw another one. So all right, I'll throw another one. What's the biggest bowl you could throw? So I threw a big bowl, and they were just wow. If I knew it was that easy to get the attention of women, I would have done that a long time ago as a kid. And so then they sat down at their wheels and they started to play with their clay and put it on the wheel, and they started to try to center and do all the things that you need to do from the very beginning. And they asked me to come around and just give them some pointers on what they were doing wrong and what they were doing right. And I'm here to say, I'm not the greatest potter that ever lived. I'm not even close, but I certainly do love it. I love it. I enjoy it. That class period is going to be marked for me. In their minds, it's marked. It was almost like a transfiguration moment, that you can take, 15 or 20 pounds of clay and you can do something that is beyond your wildest dreams. And for me, I think that class period will be marked by just the joy I could feel when I put my hand on top of their hand and steadied their hand just so gently so that they could center their clay. Their hands are going all over, and I just put my hand on there and firmly pushed it, and it centered. And it's like this light came on in them. And it's like the ones that were being transformed in that class were them, to get something for the first time. I mean, lights are off for me. You know, I know what's going to happen when I put my hand on there. I might as well just go back to sleep. It's automatic pilot for me. But for them, it's like everything was right with the world. And then they started to open it up and it was going wobbly again inside. And I put my hand on there and it just steadied them. And their eyes just lit up. And of course, I couldn't be there every step of the way, nor should I, or that's just not the way it works. They needed to make their own mistakes. And eventually they were either going to keep working at it or not. So in some ways, we all had our mountaintop experience on Thursday between 2 and 3:30, and for different reasons. And I think it's true for us all the time in our lives. You know, one person's mountaintop experience might be happening while they're standing right next to somebody else. And we never know. Does it mean that it's not happening for us, or are we just unable to see it? And I think it's more that we're just not able to see it. And maybe we're not meant to see it. If all we saw everywhere we went were mountaintop experience, moments of transfiguration, we wouldn't get anything done ever. I wouldn't have gotten to Bethel to show them anything. I would have been standing out on Snelling Avenue just with my mouth open. So I think we've been given a kind of a divine amnesia or a shroud to keep us from being blinded by all the glory all over the place. So I did go on to tell them a little bit more about, you know, what do we need to do? Can you give us steps to be able to get to throw something like that? And I said, yeah, you know, just keep trying to center, keep trying to open, keep trying to mix the clay. Ask if you can pug the clay, mix it, pug it, wedge it. And then ask if you can make some of the glazes. Ask if you can brick in the kiln door. Ask if you can, you know, troubleshoot the electric on the kiln. Get some help with that. But all of it goes clean out the slop sink and get the tools out of the bottom so they don't get sent through the pug mill. Put it in a bucket. You know, it's all little things that I'd say it's like the valley experience. You know, Jesus goes back down to the valley, so do they. And all of the stuff that happens in the valley has to do with preparing the clay, preparing, you know, the wheel, preparing yourself to be able to keep producing for the sake of others and help others as you go, you know. Maybe one day comes and you've wedged up 6 balls of clay and then somebody comes in and they've sprained their wrist, and maybe you have to share yours with them and you get a little bit less time on that wheel than you thought, but it's all a part of the process and it's complicated. So Jesus spends far more time in the valley, bringing the glory to the valley and just wedging the clay and marking the glazes and wishing that he had more time to himself on the mountain until he just touches one person. He just touches one person, or a woman touches him and she's centered and he realizes why he's there. You know, he has one kid sit on his lap that was just a total pain in the neck for all the disciples around. One kid sits on his lap and he becomes centered, and it was worth the price of admission. It was worth more than all of the transfigurations on any mountaintop to have that kid sit in his lap or have that woman anoint his feet. I always say that when I'm in my dying moments, I'm not going to wish for mountaintop experiences or times on the beach in Fort Myers or Bonita Springs, or even in the Boundary Waters. I'm not going to want time on the mountain in Colorado or Montana. I'm going to want more time at the kitchen sink washing dishes with my kids and my wife. and my dear friends. I wouldn't even mind just a little bit more time cleaning up dog poop in the backyard before friends come over. I want those little things. I want the time of not making something big and beautiful and wonderful, but I want more time of putting my hand on somebody's and watching a light come into them when they become centered because of something I did. So transfigurations. I've been pestered by a church that I did an internship at in North Hollywood, California, where all the actors and actresses and entertainment, community all live there, and all these famous people, and there were a lot of famous musicians there too. Like there was a guitar player for Santana's band, and then there was a saxophone player that went around playing with David Sanborn and in the congregation, and they would do special music. They ain't got nothing on you guys' prices, or Vicky, I tell you what. But there was a graduation ceremony from the school that they had there. They had a private school, the only at the time, the only non-Missouri Synod Lutheran grade school, and it was behind a gated complex so that famous people could bring their kids in anonymity there. So one of the famous musicians for this church was scheduled to do some kind of I remember it was a saxophone performance for the graduation ceremony. And I was all excited about it. I thought this could be great. I've heard him play before, for an offertory or something, but he's doing special music for the graduation. At the last minute, the word came out, he's not going to be playing. His daughter, who's graduating from 8th grade, is. And I thought, what instrument does she play? Well, she walks up there with her saxophone. And I thought, what would it take for the child of an amazing musician to be raised up playing the same instrument as the great father or parent, whoever in your, but she knows the saxophone. So she goes up there, stands in front of everybody, and I'd seen her before, and I thought, oh, I can't wait to hear this. And she goes dry. Her lips are as dry as a desert. What I know about saxophones is you need to have a little bit of spit. Nothing. She's got nothing, and it's coming out whispery. And when it finally starts to come, it's squeaky, and she's almost in tears. And I thought, what is going to happen? And I see in the back, her dad is standing in the back with his hands kind of folded like this. And I thought, are you going to rescue her? What's going to happen here? And she just kept trying, and finally she got enough spit worked up. It starts coming out. And if I remember right, I think it was an original composition of hers. And she starts to get it, but she's so flustered that the timing is all off. It's just not coming together. And I felt so bad for her. And then I see the dad sneaking up the side aisle of the sanctuary, all the way up. And then he comes around, and I thought he's going to grab his saxophone and he's going to do it with her, and then she'll just draft with them. But he doesn't. He sits at the piano and he starts to plunk out behind her, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, with one hand. Just very simple. And apparently it's the same rhythm and count as the piece that she's created. So underneath her piece is this gentle, quiet, almost unhearable twinkle, twinkle, little star. And that's enough for her to become centered and then to become glowing, transfigured in front of all of us with this this amazing saxophone piece that, wasn't perfect, and even in its best rendition has got a lot of work to do, but you could see her flying. It was just amazing. And I think just as amazing is her dad, who could play anything in the world, and he did not touch his saxophone. He just touched the piano keys with a finger and got out of the way and just centered her so that she could shine. And I think that's what we're called to do. We're called to come down from the mountaintops of our experiences, this human experience, and do our best to put our hands on the hands of others that just can't seem to get it centered, and just get out of our way. We got to get out of our own way and just let people shine. It's not about our shining. And in the end, I think it all comes through all of us. So that church has been bugging me for about, 5 months now to send them a recording for their big anniversary celebration on the West Coast there in California, so they could play it at their big dinner, which I'm lucky because I heard it was canceled because of the pandemic. So I decided I'm not going to send them anything yet. They're going to do it next year. But they know me well, so they keep sending me emails. And this morning, I finally decided I know exactly what I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them that story, because that's what they do with each other, is help each other shine and get out of each other's way. And that's what we're called to do. That's it. That's Transfiguration. And I see you guys shining all the time in different ways. And I'm honored to be able to see it and be a part of it. And even do it on Zoom. Except for yous that don't have images. You just have a telephone symbol in front of me here. You guys don't shine at all. But I could sense it. All right. We are at, amen. We're at this offering time and wondering, does anybody have something they'd like to offer up as an offering today? Anybody out there?
Louis does.
All right, Louis, let's see. Oh.
Okay, you gotta tell. So who's this, Lou?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
And what is this?
The Basilisk.
The Basilisk.
Wow.
It's from the first movie?
Harry Potter 2.
Harry Potter 2. It's a big snake.
That is amazing.
Harry Potter's stabbing it with a sword.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That is beautiful, Lou.
What do you say?
Thank you. Thank you for showing us.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome. That was great. Anybody else have an offering? Oh, Crystal. Happy Valentine's Day from Crystal, it says. All right. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Anybody else have one? Anybody else have an offering?
Yeah. Elsie says she wants to play piano.
All right, let's see it.
Okay, hold on. Sorry.
Perfect.
Oh, improvised here. I just have to hold it, Elsie. Are you going to do Home on the Range?
Yes.
Do you want to say what it is?
I'm playing Home on the Range.
All right. Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you. That's perfect. Which makes me remember we have our talent show is this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We're going to do a virtual talent show at 7 p.m. So bring your talent. From juggling to cartwheels to pianos and guitars to saxophones and flutes and organs and I don't know, helicopter rides or anybody else? Anybody else? All right, I have to share my screen again because I've got another piece from the Triple Preuss Ensemble. So here we go.
Fourth movement of the Bach violin sonata for 2 violins played on flute.
That was great. Was everybody able to hear? Great. I'm getting better and better at finding these things, and before now, as we're going into the bitterness of winter, we'll come back to Vicky's ensemble that came together and did some photographs and images and music. So we'll get more of that. I haven't messed up a single page sharing yet, so I have to watch myself here. I'm getting a little too big for my. Oh boy. So let us do prayers of the people, and where we get to the place where we can offer our prayers, we can do that today. Lots to pray for. Be safe. So let us do Richard Rohr's prayer here. Oh, great love, thank you for living and loving in us and through us. May all that we do flow from our deep connection with you and all beings. Help us become a community that vulnerably shares each other's burdens and the weight of glory. Listen to our heart's longings now for the healing of our world. Knowing you are hearing us better than we are speaking, we offer these prayers in all the holy names of God. Amen. Now I have a closing prayer I found for Transfiguration Sunday. God, you called Moses to lead your people out of slavery, and a bush glowed. You gave Moses the law and his face glowed. Spirit, you called Elijah home and the chariot glowed. Jesus, you brought Peter, James, and John up the mountain and you glowed. Glow through us as we go through our valleys, that others may see and find their way. Amen. Amen. So Transfigure Sunday is today, which means we're going into Lent, which means that we're almost one full year with the pandemic. I think we had a Sunday after Ash Wednesday that we actually went into lockdown. So it wasn't much further along. We have, instead of Fat Tuesday with our pancake feed and our beanbag toss, usually that we do on Tuesday night for Mardi Gras, we're going to have our talent show virtually. So if you can make it, that'd be great. Even if you don't have a talent, we need an audience for those that do have talents. And yeah, bring a story, bring a poem, bring a handstand, bring a new hairdo, bring a cat. You know, cats are all right. Think up something. It'd be fun. It's amazing what we all do, and we don't share it with others. So think about doing that 7 p.m. I know Monday night is council at 7 p.m. And is Wednesday night going to be the anti-racism group at 7? So if you'd like to be a part of that, check your emails.